Hey there, and welcome back. And if you're new, welcome in. So for today, I'm pretty much going to be talking about Zhongli because as of recording, the banner just dropped for both Zhongli Child and the new weapon banner. Which weapon banner? The only good weapon is the Polar Star, not the Vortex. This weapon banner's okay. You're really gambling if you want to get it. I don't recommend it. But anyways, for now we're gonna be talking about Zhongli. The second one I'm probably gonna talk about Child. And when it comes to the 4 stars, Noelle's good, but then if you're going for Zhongli, you kinda just don't really need Noelle. There's Sayu, she's good, but her healings from time to time cannot keep up. And then there's the new 4 star, which I'm probably gonna try to get eventually. But oh, first things first though. Boom, wrong one. Bam, bam, bam. Now I have 5. But anyways, first things first. Silence. We'll talk about his kit. So first, when it comes to Zhongli, his strongest attribute is just HP. Max HP is by far his strongest and what you usually want to have raised. When it comes to the weapons, honestly, he's extremely free to play friendly because what his best weapon is the Black Tassel. Because what attack's not very good. However, his HP will increase by a 42%. Then again, if I were to enhance it, I'm not gonna do it. But anyways, is that HP percent from 42.8 will further increase, which will then further increase his eventual damage output as well as his defense output, which would be his shields. And another, because what you could probably go for like these other weapons as well, like Favonius if you're lacking energy. Technically, Deathmatch. Another good one, Favonius. Unless I already mentioned that one. The Vortex, it's not good. It's like, oh yeah, it increases his shields by 20%, but it's like if this substat right here instead of attack percent was actually HP percent, it would be beautiful. But unfortunately, it is not. Overall, aesthetically, it looks phenomenal on him, but just it's not really worth it. Staff of Homa is better because what it gives you a higher attack, crit damage on top of that, and not only that, it further increases his max HP as well. So it's like this just further proves why the Staff of Homa is probably the strongest weapon, if not one of the strongest weapons. But the strongest pole arm by far. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. But that aside, free to play weapon, it's a 3-star, which is beautiful. When it comes to the artifact sets, I would recommend if you want to have them like a support, tenacity, because what it not only further increases his HP by 20%, but whenever his elemental skill, which I'll show you right now, his elemental skill is just something pretty simple. Why am I? Shut up. Anyways, his skill is just you just tap, and boom. And from time to time, it will do that little square, which will then hit the enemies, which will then proc the 4-piece set, which would then boost your team member or party members' attack by 20%. And not only that, their shield strength is also increased by 30% for 3 seconds, which this effect can be triggered every 0.5 seconds. And it's like whether they're on the field or not. So you can literally just pop the skill, switch to someone else, your main DPS, and then just do damage, which is just beautiful. Or if you want them to do a bit more damage or have them somewhat of a sub DPS, I kind of don't really recommend it, but hey, do what you will. Another good piece set would be where is it? You could probably have a 2-piece set of the Petra. It's the Petra. That's just the piece name. What would you call it? You can go with a 2-piece Petra and a 2-piece Noblesse, which will then increase his burst damage. So you can kind of have him as a burst DPS, sub DPS type character. But then if that's the case, you're then going to have to worry about energy recharge. But that aside, if you just want to go with a support, you just usually want a lot of HP, especially for the substat too. So for here, for the Sands, you usually want HP. If you HP percent, then you can go technically EM somewhat okay on this Geo character. Normally it's not, but for him it kind of works to an extent. You usually want also crit rate, crit damage, or energy recharge. As for the goblet, you can go with two options, either 1 HP percent or 2 Geo damage. With Geo damage, he kind of becomes like a burst sub DPS that you can have from time to time, which is really good. Or you can just go with HP to then further increase his shield's durability, which honestly it's already extremely powerful. And then with, like I mentioned, substat, crit rate, crit damage, energy recharge, HP percent, if especially since if you're gonna go with the Geo Goblet. And then flat attack is okay. It's not that bad, surprisingly. And then for the circlet, you can go with crit rate or crit damage, like I mentioned, if you want have them as a sub DPS or a burst DPS. Or you can just go with HP percent, which I don't think, yeah, I do. But technically, you can go with HP percent with flat HP, and then you can go with crit rate, crit damage, and energy recharge. And then, like I mentioned, EM is okay. It's not too bad. But which I'm glad, because reasoning is because right now he's at what, 32,795 for HP, attack 970, defense 651, elemental mastery. It's 220. Does he even has higher EM than Tutao? But anyways, that line alone is one of the main reasons why I kind of don't really recommend getting for him. But that is, oh, it's fine. Anyways, it's crit ratio, we're at 34, pretty much 35% crit damage. We're at 1. I swear, dude, they're dead. Anyways, it's gonna be 191.5 for crit damage. Energy recharge, we're at 127. Geo damage, we're at 68.2. Because what? The goblet goes up to how much? 46.6. However, whenever he's being ascended, the little bonus substat or hidden substat, I guess you can call it, it's going to be Geo damage, which honestly kind of helps with the sub DPS, not gonna lie, or burst DPS. But that's for weapons, and then that's for artifact set. Like I mentioned, 4-piece tenacity or a 2-piece what's it called, noblesse, or a 2-piece noblesse with the Petra. You can also just have a full 4-piece noblesse if you want. I mean, or you can just go with whatever, but I still recommend tenacity by far, in my opinion, his best in slot weapon, or best in slot artifact set. Constellations, oof, it's something. C6 is a treat, but which I'm calling it. For C1, he just ends up getting another pillar, which honestly kind of further increases the range, which then allows you to have the 4-piece set proc for tenacity. So you can have one pillar, I'm gonna say like over here, and then you're fighting right here, then you can set up another pillar right here. So the AoE would be like around here. It just increases the AoE of the skill hitting, which then guarantees you still getting the bonus for your skill doing damage to the opponent and increasing your attack. For C2, this is more of a co-op type constellation, because whenever he uses his burst, any character that's nearby, whether, like I mentioned, they're your own character, normally you can just use your skill. However, if it's a co-op and you use the burst, those characters will also gain a shield, which is all based on your character as well. So the higher HP you have, the stronger their shield will get. As for C3, just increases the skill. C4, honestly, doesn't, just 2 seconds can actually change a lot of stuff, because whenever he uses his burst, not only does the range increase, but also the purification lasts for 2 more seconds than normal. So whenever it's pretty much like when they're frozen, but they're not, pretty much they're frozen, but they can't move, they can't break out even after you hit them. They're just stuck there until it just shuts down. But this adds 2 more seconds on top of that, which they don't move. The only things that have immune to it, I think are weekly bosses, and I think some world bosses. I could be wrong. If not all world bosses, but oh well. C5 just further increases his burst. C6 though, it's so whenever the little pillars that you have, or the shield that is provided by the pillars after you use your skill, it converts 40% of the incoming damage to HP. So it pretty much Zhongli is like a healer at C6. Not only does he provide a shield, he also gives you heals on the current character that is on the field, which honestly, it's really good. But also, let's say you have Hu Tao, it does not resonate because with Hu Tao you usually want to have low HP, but with C6 she will be healing, so her damage will drop a bit. So I don't. If you're not going with Hu Tao, I really recommend it. It's extremely powerful. Do not wish if you are not like financially stable at all. T0, I've been using him. He's been pretty much on point. Hasn't failed. There isn't a day where I'm like, oh, I wish I had this constellation. It's like C0 is more than perfect, in my opinion. Pretty much is close as perfect if possible. Now for the talents, just ignore the normal attack. You don't really need it. You normally want to focus on his skill and burst. For his skill, there's two methods. There's a press, which the pillar just arrives, or two, you can hold it, which then you then gain a shield, and that shield's absorption damage is is based on Zhongli's max HP. So the higher his HP is, the longer the shield will last. So chances are you're usually gonna have the shield, because there's the hold or the press, which the cooldown is for 4 seconds. However, there's the hold. Where is it? Hold. Which is up increased to 12 seconds. And it's like, honestly, you can just be attacking, hold this skill, switch to your main DPS, attack for a while. By the time you finish one rotation, his cooldown will already be done. It will be fully refreshed. So you'll then be able to switch to him, hold it again, and then pretty much refresh your shield, which is extremely good. As for his burst, it's just a giant meteor. Other people called it a meatball, like a giant meatball just hits. It shows you the AoE as well, so you usually want to have enemies within that AoE. But like I mentioned, I think it was C3 or C4 that increases that range and further purifies them. Because opponents affected by the purification status cannot move. And currently, let's say purification duration, it lasts for almost 4 seconds. However, those 2 seconds will increase it to almost 6 seconds. The energy it needs is extremely low too, so this guy could honestly pretty much kind of spam it and have it ready before his cooldown is done, which is just a giant ball just falling down from the sky and hitting your opponents. As for his first passive, for characters within the shield, their shield strength is increased, and on top of that, it can stack up to pretty much 5 times and last until the shield disappears. But like I mentioned, if you have a lot of HP, the shield can last, and not only that, it will get stronger too, which is pretty crazy. This just increases all his, pretty much the higher his HP is, max HP is, the more damage he's gonna do. So pretty much you just need to slap a lot of HP on him. So he's pretty easy to build. Just weapon, give him a 3-star, HP percent substat, artifact set. Just the artifact set might be a problem but then again, there's the artifact strong box, which now you're able to go specifically for this piece. So it should make it easier. Constellations, you can have them at C0, but honestly, that's about it. When it comes to team comps, you can just slap them anywhere, honestly. You can, let's say you want to have Hu Tao as your sub DPS, you can have her, and then you can either have Yelan and or Xingqiu, or let's say you don't want Hu Tao and you have Ganyu. When it comes to Ganyu, she tends to be pretty squishy. So with Zhongli, you don't really have to worry about Ganyu taking damage at all. Or you can even go with, shoot, just a pure Archon team and just have what? Zhongli, Raiden, Nahida, and then Benny. No, I'm just kidding. Who's the other artifact? There we go. Benti. Because what? Right now there's what? 1, 2, 3, 4 characters. But now the 5th Archon's going to eventually be added. Honestly, Benti's kind of probably the weakest out of all the Archons gameplay wise. But that aside, not only that, another thing I forgot to mention. Where is it? Right here. So pretty much the moment you activate his shield or skill and you gain a shield, the absorption rate, it's 150% damage absorption against all elements and also physical damage. And not only that, whenever a character protected by the shield will decrease the elemental resistance and physical resistance of the opponent in a small AoE, which is wherever his skill is able to touch. Their elemental and physical resistance is decreased by 20%, while your absorption rate is increased by 150%, which honestly it's really good. But back to the team comps. Honestly, you can have Ganyu, or you can probably have Tainari, although with Tainari you usually want to have like a Bloom/healer team, or there's also Sino, or you can just go with a pure Geo team and then have Ito as your main DPS, him as your burst DPS/ support, and then you can have Goro as your somewhat healer/damage booster. There's someone else. Technically there's Geo MC, or if you haven't fully built, which I currently do not, but I will eventually, you can go with Albedo as well. So team comps, he can fit anywhere, dude, if I'm being honest. But I'm gonna be doing a quick showcase, so I'm gonna use Hu Tao. Going with, there you are. Justice indeed. Anyways, so I'm just gonna be doing like a quick little damage showcase to see or show you, I should say, that he's an extremely strong character. Cause what? I'm just and there we go. Slap. Oh, I messed up. Oh well. Oh, what the? I guess it didn't land? Then I can just stand there and take no damage. Boom, boom, boom. And then I just refresh it again. Actually, I'm just gonna stand here and take a few hits. It's perfectly fine, man. Anyways, refresh. Burst. Boom. Ooh, I barely made it. Bam. And we're good. It's like, just like that. It's like, what, Hu Tao was sitting at, what, in the red, even after all, what, I think it was like 4 or 5 hits. The shield was still standing strong, just further proves that's like, honestly, it's really good. Kind of sucks I wasn't able to show you his purification, but which I have no idea how it missed somehow in some way, but I guess that can happen. But overall, you usually want to have him just for his E. Boom, yoink, whoop. But overall, strongest shielder, if not one of the strongest, but I'm pretty sure he is the strongest shielder. And you can just, normally Hu Tao is probably his best character to team up with, but honestly, the dude can go in any team comp you want. He doesn't really need to do anything, just swap on him, hold your E, swap out, go to your damage dealer, and then just do damage, and then you're fine, honestly. But overall, Do I recommend them? Yes. Do I recommend any constellations? C0 is perfectly fine, but if you really want, I'd probably say C2 can be really good if you want to play with some friends, and then if you just have the money that you just want to waste, C6 is really good. It's like I can't even describe how good C6 is, but that aside, that's about it. So if you ended up enjoying this video, make sure to drop a like, subscribe. Really helps out the channel. Okay. Anyways, that's about it. So if you ended up enjoying it, I hope to see you in the next one. So until next time, later nerds. Take care.